After a slow start in episode 1, One Punch Man season 3 might finally start picking up, and it looks like episode 2 could be the one that reminds people why this series still deserves attention. Because just recently, 6 new preview frames for episode 2 have been released, and they're giving us a glimpse of something that feels a lot more alive than what we saw before. Hey guys, and welcome back to another brand new One Punch Man video. And yes, if you've seen my previous video breaking down the production side of One Punch Man season 3, you probably know how complicated things have been behind the scenes. But today we're shifting gears. This time I want to focus on what's actually next, which is episode 2. We've got an official synopsis and 6 brand new preview image that was released earlier today, and I'm going to break them all down, give my honest thoughts on each one of them, and talk about my personal expectation for episode 2 as a whole. Disclaimer, I am an anime only watcher that has been foiled a little bit, basically just some manga panels, but overall I don't know much context of it, so I'm still safe, I guess. But yes everyone, let's go and get straight into the actual segment 1 of today's video, which is the synopsis reveal. So, according to this official synopsis, it says, after being recruited by the Monster Association's executives, Garou heads into the city to hunt down heroes. He stops at a family restaurant to eat, but ends up skipping out on the bill. Saitama, who happens to be there, chases after the fleeing Garou, and that's basically it. So, from that alone, some manga readers can already tell where this episode is heading, and it's looking like we're getting at least the first half of the fight between Garou versus Bok God and Royal Ripper, which will be our first ever look at a quote-unquote fight scene in season 3. That is if they don't cut it out, obviously. And if they're saying it's the first half, that will most likely means that this episode won't finish the entirety of the fight and possibly ending on a cliffhanger, which makes sense pacing wise. Especially for a build-up episode last week, this episode should really start to hype people up, so an action scene is definitely a must in this episode. And it's going to be refreshing to see things finally moving again. Since episode 1 has a pretty slow start, let's hope episode 2 will hype people up with the glimpse of the first half of the actual fight scene itself. So now with that being said, let's talk about the actual 6 new frames that just got released. Alright, so all of these 6 brand new preview frames are from episode 2, actually haven't appeared in any previous PVs or teasers, so it's basically our first look at episode 2 itself. So let's go through them one by one. Frame 1, Garou possibly unwrapping bandage. Frame 2, Fubuki and Saitama in a restaurant. Frame 3, the kid Garou met in season 2, and I'm pretty sure his name is Terao or something. Frame 4, Royal Ripper with that insane looking shot. Gyoro, if I'm not wrong, because he has that one eye. And also the chicken monster. Like, is that a chicken? I'm not sure. And also frame 6, Zombieman on top of a rooftop. Now, before we move on to the next segment, I'll be talking about what I personally like and don't like about these frames one by one. So let's go on with the first frame itself, which is the Garou frame. And it seems like this scene takes place in the same spot as the one we saw in the pre-animated trailer by Aoki, and honestly, if that is the case, I'm glad to see that the overly hazy bloom compositing effects that was present in the actual PV has been toned down a bit in this shot, and it really lets the line work stand out a lot, giving the shot a sharper and stronger look overall. It's a really cool frame of Garou, and seems like the animation directors went in and corrected it a bit compared to what we see in the PV itself. Again, it's not the same exact scene, but both clearly set in the same location. Again, nothing too crazy, but I'm glad that the overly hazy bloom compositing effects has been toned down a lot. Next up, the Fubuki and Saitama in a restaurant. Well, for this one, there's not much to talk about, to be honest, but I really like how goofy they made Saitama's grinning face here, because it gives out that classic Saitama energy, I would say, and nothing too crazy, to be honest. Wait, the turtleneck Fubuki, where is it? No, JC Snow, why you do this to me? Okay, frame 3, apparently his name is Terao, I'm not sure. But yes, I don't remember this kid looking this well drawn back in season 2, because this is honestly a really solid drawing. I have no major complaints here. Maybe his eyes aren't as expressive as they were in the manga. Maybe it will move in the actual episode itself, who knows? But that is just a small nitpick from me, but overall, really good stuff. Next up we have this insane looking Royal Reaper frame, and this hits hard. The aesthetic direction for this shot is very good. That dark shade of blood against the grainy vignette white background really makes Royal Reaper looks very intimidating. Well, in terms of the actual framing itself, the manga basically looks very similar to it, but somehow the anime version actually does justice to it. And to be honest, it might actually surpass it, because even though it has the same vibe, even though it has the same composition as the manga itself, somehow I feel like the anime for some reason just gave me a lot more intimidating vibe compared to the actual manga itself, which again is a good thing considering the fact that this is an anime adaptation, so this is really good. Again, credits to Murata for making the actual source material look like that, but at the same time, the anime adaptation definitely does justice to the manga panel, which is again really good. Now for the next frame, it is the Gyoro scene. I almost forgot to talk about this one specifically, so well, to be honest, there's nothing much to talk about other than the overall atmosphere of this particular shot. The background gives off a very eerie vibe with the darkness surrounding Gyoro and those eyes looking background. Really cool. Overall, it feels creepy in all the right ways, so again, pretty cool shot, nothing too crazy, so yeah. Now for the last one, we got Zombieman on a rooftop, I'm pretty sure, and it's really refreshing to see an actual background behind him this time, and this definitely reassures me that the art direction in this episode is going to be fine. Not saying that episode 1 not, I mean, like, in terms of art direction, episode 1 was pretty okay, but mostly whenever they walk, behind him are just like solid background and all that. So, and at the same time, in the manga for this particular scene, the background was mostly just city lights, but here they've gone beyond that. They actually made an entire neighborhood, and also the sky color in this particular shot looks really good. The whole shot definitely feels more alive, and the drawing of Zombieman himself is also really strong. Honestly, this is just a really good shot overall. Even the compositing helps it a lot. So again, all of this 6 frame looks really good. So basically, from the preview image alone, things are looking pretty promising, I would say. They've maintained that strong drawing consistency. The art looks clean, detailed, and well, more confident, which is a good sign. And aesthetically, this might actually be the best looking episode in the adaptation yet. Not necessarily animation wise, but purely from visual design standpoint. The color design and compositing seems to taken a step up compared to season 2, and that's something you can already notice even from a few still frames. But obviously, with all those good things, there is actually some concern that I have, and one of it is definitely the animation, how it will move and all that. I just hope that this episode won't face the same still frames again and again, and hopefully things actually moves here. And not only that, episode 1 doesn't only have lack of animation problem, it is also how the anime in terms of storyboarding are literally one-to-one to the manga panels. Again, I don't have anything against manga accuracy, obviously faithfulness are great, but I really hope not everything will be just a straight copy. This is an anime adaptation for a reason. You don't just color the manga and call it a day. So again, a few touches of creative direction, maybe some even new angles that is way different from the manga will make things much more alive and actually looks like this is an anime adaptation. Still though, if they can keep this consistency going, maybe add some more of those spark that has been missing, episode 2 could be where season 3 finally starts to find its rhythm. And those are basically it for today's video. Once this stuff has been revealed, I'll be making another video on it. Thank you very much for watching until the end. If you're actually one of those that actually made this far, comment down below Gyoro so I know you actually watch until the end. Those are basically it, and I will see you in the next One Punch Man video. Goodbye.